Hi, it's David and Hayley from Life with Parkinson's. If you're new here, welcome. We hope you'll consider subscribing. For everybody else, thank you for coming back and watching another episode. A few weeks ago we had our live broadcast, and shortly after that, Janine asked a few questions about how caregiving impacts our relationship. Basically, those questions were all directed towards Hayley, and I'm very grateful that she's taken the time here to think about those questions, and she's agreed to come on the broadcast to answer those questions. So, yeah, my first guest on the show, it's my wife, so I'm really happy. And so, thank you, Janine, for asking those questions. We'll get right to it. So, Janine asked, how has my diagnosis and symptom progression affected her life?
Honestly, it was the first few years, it's been quite a shock for me and my family. I thought they would have a little bit more time for his progression, but because really it hasn't really been that long. But it did shake us because we had other illnesses due to my illness, endometriosis, and my daughter's diabetes, type 1 diabetic. It was just another pile-on. I just think it's us, and we're able to deal with a lot of stuff, and this comes with it, really.
Yeah, definitely the symptom progression has been challenging to deal with because in some ways, we feel it's gone faster than anticipated.
Yeah, it's definitely. One thing definitely is now he's not working, and I'm used to him working a lot, to now he's home. It's sort of like big adjustment for me and on that matter.
Yeah, for me too. It's weird. It's strange not working 40 to 60 hours per week. In some ways I miss that. So yeah, it's definitely been a big change. Basically invading your world in a sort of way.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I'm used to going wherever I want to, do whatever I want to. And now I have to consider with Dave's Parkinson's that if I'm able to go out or how his day is going to be, and especially with me too. So it's more concentration and more work and on that matter, second thoughts.
Yeah, because we're home and, it's something that we've always wanted is to spend more time together. It's just unfortunate it took Parkinson's to make that happen. So, yeah, being home more on the one hand has given us that time together that we've always wanted.
But the other hand, not in the right way.
Yeah, not in the right way. Yeah, definitely some big changes. Okay, the second question Janine asked is, how does Hayley deal with the day-to-day challenges of being a caregiver?
My day-to-day, depends what day it is, technically. He needs a little bit more, it's horrible to say this, but attention and more guidance. If he's got a really bad anxiety symptoms, it's really hard, but also not hard at the same time. I totally get it. I understand it's very frustrating, but it's also, you really have to second guess and really think before you answer. Guidance and just basically helping him sort out if it's good or bad, or depends on the day. And at night I don't sleep well, so I'm up. So if he needs more help at nighttime, I'm around. So I'm happy he's able to feel okay for me to take over a little bit in a nice sensitive area way, of course.
Yeah, so what Hayley's referring to is not directly saying, sometimes if I've had a really bad anxiety day, I'll get really bad offs in the evening. I'll take my Movapo shot, but because my off is so bad, it won't be as effective as I need it. So sometimes I'll have trouble turning around in the bathroom at bedtime to try and sit down on the toilet and go pee.
Yeah, it's hard to give that dignity still.
Yeah, so shortly after we moved here, Hayley installed some, I'm just going to call them panic buttons. So there's one hanging on the bed, everyone's seen that in a previous video. But she also put one in the bathroom, and I didn't use it. I just used it for the first time last week because I had just taken my pills and I needed to go to the bathroom before going to bed. My spin move didn't work in the bathroom and I couldn't turn around, and I froze, and I was there for like 2 solid minutes before I'm like, I better press that button because I think I'm going down.
I think, yeah, I did that because if when he does need attendance for the bathroom or the bath or shower or whatever, I thought that would work out better there because it's down below, so if he does tend to fall that forward, and he's able to ring the bell. It's near the toilet area, so still low.
I told Hayley that night I lost my last few shreds of dignity, but it also shows you how much she does love me as well, because she thought about me to put the button there.
It rings in my room or in the living room, and it rings in the other room, front room, back room, sorry. Back room.
As a young, strong, independent man, it's when you cross these thresholds and you have to give up something in order to be taken care of. Sometimes you feel like you give up a lot, but then, you know, there's also, you feel the love from the other person. So thanks, baby. It was bad for my self-esteem, but then in the end it boosted my self-esteem because I know I can count on my wife. Okay, next question from Janine, and you can see I'm so excited. I've got dyskinesia really bad, and it's because I'm so happy that she's come on the channel. So yeah, this is the first dyskinesia I've had in days, and I'm having it because
So being on the thing makes you have the shakes.
yeah. It's kind of funny. We paused the camera and had a really good laugh. Okay, so the next question. How have your roles changed and how has it affected your relationship?
Well, our relationship's always knowing that we have a couple chronic illnesses already. Our relationship for me is, ever since he's got Parkinson's, is I used to be a very shy and quiet person. So it's nice to be a more, let's say, more bossier and more not standoffish, just more, I don't know what the word would be.
Well, a lot of times you would just fade into the background and let me deal with stuff because that's what I did, right?
Yeah.
I would power through things and you were kind of concentrating on your endo because we were dealing with like medical procedures and surgeries that all turned out to be a waste of time in the end.
And our daughter, of course, that was a full-time job of which Felicia when she's a lot younger, so.
Yeah, getting diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and...
Yeah, so it's helped me greatly. For me, personally, it really has got me out of my shell. I'm more persistent to people or at where he's going or just a little bit more. Yeah, just basically more bossier.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hayley has definitely changed her role in the family, you know. Parkinson's is a funny thing because sometimes you see things and you think it's a reality and I'll bounce it off Hayley and she's like, no, that's not what's going on at all.
Or text or something like that.
And she'll be like, this is going on, and I'm like, really? It's strange because when you're off, your thought pattern changes a little bit and reality isn't what it is. So I don't know how to explain it except like that. It's not like an out-of-body experience or anything.
I just make things a lot clearer.
Yeah, I'll go to her and say, you know, I'm thinking about making this decision about this item. Is that a good decision? And she'll be like, well, you know, you've dealt with that in the past all the time. I'm like, yeah, but I'm actually not sure. And she'll be like, yes or no, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm more assertive.
Mm-hmm.
Way more assertive and very protection over Dave. Quite protected over him. Depends where we are or what we do or whatever. So I'm definitely more came out of my shell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for me personally, that's been amazing. You know, that's what caregiving and marriage is all about. Is about taking care of each other. So yeah, we've definitely had some role changes, but they've been welcome.
And a good thing. Definitely a good position now.
Yeah, if things hadn't changed, we'd be in a lot of trouble.
What's next?
What tips and tricks have you learned that you can pass on to other people watching?
Be patient. Don't interrupt them because it takes a long time to get the answers or questions, or just give a little bit more time or give them little suggestions and they'll get eventually. That's what I do with Dave. Tips. You're not gonna go anywhere really fast. I learned that. It's 5 o'clock for something. I'm getting ready at 4 or 3. I had to wait a little bit longer for Dave to get ready because he needs a snack to get ready. and then eat, and then get the shoes on, and that takes a little bit longer. So be more patient, because you won't be getting the time that you want to go out.
Yeah, I'll agree with Hayley, because I'll say we're going to leave at, let's just say 10:30 in the morning, and we're going to go somewhere. But then my Parkinson's says, no, you're actually not going to go at 10:30. You're going to go at 10:45. And I'm like, why? Yeah, I want to go at 10:30. I'll just say Parkinson's says, no, you're waiting until 10:45, because it's going to take an extra 15 minutes for your meds to kick in. And you got to wait no matter what.
It's easier for I used to get get all his stuff and my stuff ready, go and get the car sorted out or whatever. Don't stand there and wait for him, because that gets him way more nervous, and they'll go a lot slower. So don't stare, or don't stand there waiting for them, because do something else, or that's my tip.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier about being patient.
Yeah, be patient. It's not a rush. You're not in a rush for anything. It's worth them keeping their confidence up and getting their... It's easier just for them to be settled and ready to go than them getting stressed out. So be very patient. People
being impatient around me just causes my anxiety to spike, and then nothing's going to happen. If the anxiety spikes high enough, it'll even overpower the Movapo.
Yeah, because I'm used to, you have to be there at a certain time, and I usually go 2 hours ahead of time, or, and call him often.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing. So, I don't know if you're thinking about the same thing I am, but I'm thinking about that night I couldn't get a hold of you.
Oh yeah.
When I went weightlifting. I'd gone weightlifting, and Hayley had gone to the dollar store, and we'd been having some problems with her phone. This was before I had the Movapo. And I was trying to get a hold of her because I was having really bad anxiety at the gym, so I was texting her and trying to get a hold of her, and I just finally drove down to the dollar store, and I just texted her and said, you gotta come outside. And I even tried to call her.
It wouldn't go through.
Yeah, and your phone wouldn't pick up.
Even you called the kids and they couldn't get a hold of me either.
Yeah.
It wouldn't dial out.
So I had to go find her, and I could barely walk from the car to the front door. So
what now we do is, let's say a set time, I need to call him to say, hey, how you doing? Are you alright? It's made a difference for myself and for him. So you just need to get a little more touch base. I'm not used to that. Because with Dave's work, I could never call him because you don't know where he is or whatever. So now it's a little bit more, you have to really think.
Yeah, so if we go out somewhere now, we'll set a time where we have to connect either by text or phone.
Yeah.
And then if we can't get a hold of each other, we automatically start looking for each other. Because if I'm having a bad off and I'm out in a public place, it's really hard to deal with, because a lot of people don't see Parkinson's, right? They'll just see someone having like bad dyskinesia or sitting down in a corner because there's nothing else you can do. And there's just not enough Parkinson's awareness out there. People go, oh, that's Parkinson's, you know?
There's a different undercoat on it.
Yeah.
They don't see the outside. You see the outside, but they don't see the inside that prepare him to go out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it takes a long time for his confidence to go up and go out, but we're getting there. We're learning little tips, and it's a challenge. And also, in a negative way, I don't like doing that, but when I'm laid out for at least 5 to 6 days, it's hard to have patience with myself, and then have to deal with Dave. It's hard. It is hard. We do get a lot of help with my parents and my sister and Felicia. It just sometimes it is hard, I admit.
Yeah, when she's had 5 or 6 bad days from the endometriosis, I get tired and I get snappy and I get short, just because I've always been a very impatient person, and you may not be able to see that from my demeanor sometimes on camera. I'm actually a very impatient person. Yeah, if things aren't happening my way that I've made a plan about, I'm not happy.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Everyone gets all cranky.
Yeah.
So that's the only negative part. It's tiring. Because I gotta deal with him, and I gotta deal with... I also help my daughter with her diabetes. So it's a lot, and my chronic illness, and it is a lot.
It is, yeah. Living together with 2 chronic illnesses.
But we make it work.
Yeah. You think marriage is hard without them? throw in 2 and then see how you do.
But I will say I do like to caregive people. I enjoyed it with my grandparents. I enjoyed it with Felicia. I was usually the full-time caregiver for Felicia at school and all that. It's not his big deal. It sort of gives me pleasure to help him.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Okay, next question. Actually, this is the last question from Janine, and then we'll talk about one other thing that I think we should bring up. What can we, as the patients, do so that we do not wear our caregivers out?
Being adamant that you would, because he is a caregiver also, so he knows, he understands when he's done being a caregiver, he's done. So we'll both, as a caregiver, understand you need time. And so we have to remind each other of us that you gotta really go out, or I notice that you need some time on your own, or I go out once a week to Valley Village, or I get to hang out with my parents or something, and I really enjoyed that. My parents take me out for a drive or take me to Walmart. I really do enjoy it. But you just definitely, it's tiring, but it's a good thing.
Yeah, and I found that communication in this area is extremely important. You know, Hayley doesn't like to overburden me with her endometriosis symptoms, and I'll be like, you know, what's wrong, honey? You know, I know something's wrong. I can tell something's wrong, but she might not want to talk about it. I'm like, I really need to know what's going on so that I'm not thinking that I'm causing a problem.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty quiet in that matter. I don't like being watched, or I just usually, from last time, is I'm used to him being at work, so I do whatever I want. So I just leave in the living room and go to my room. Not without thinking he would be affected. And yeah, that's another one too. I just like to be left alone with Indo. I don't like him watching me have pain or anything.
So I think for this part, having good communication is a way that you don't wear each other out.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah, giving each other a break, a rest time, some time on your own.
Or you go a little bit crazy.
Yeah, you go a little bit crazy.
I mean, you're not helping the other person either, and yourself and the other person, because he struggles with emotions, and even if I'm upset or whatever, he won't get that. He struggles with that part. It's not him, but he thinks it is, so his mind plays games with him. So you don't want to offend the other person, but you really want to be left alone. But so I gotta remind myself, you know what, you haven't done anything to reassure him. You haven't done anything, you haven't said anything. You know, look at me weirdly. It's just I need time on my own.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to learn to tell you that.
Yeah. Okay, so the last thing we're going to talk about here was my first fall, just because it was kind of a wake-up call.
And Dave was stubborn.
So how did my first fall affect you?
Actually, I was okay with it. I actually, when he fell, I didn't see it. So when he fell, I'm like, what are you doing down there? Why I did that is because they could be always self-conscious and always, that can throw them off really emotionally. So if I don't think of it as a big deal, he won't react. So if I go and freak out and all that and cry and all that, that's not helping him, because he'll feel my stress and anxiety. So basically I said, what are you doing off the floor? What are you doing on the floor? Like, as a just like, hey, what the heck? So he wouldn't be so thrown off and stay controlled, because he can't go off and freak out. If he listened and took his Movapo, or me giving it the Movapo or something, he wouldn't be falling.
Okay, is there anything else you want to bring up?
I don't think so. But yeah, it's been interesting, but also a good thing. I got wonderful people. I got my sister, I got my mom and dad. I can do a soundboard on them and talk about my emotions and get my frustration out. So I instead of Dave, I sort of relied on. Now I have to look at asking other people. And my parents drive them to doctor's appointments or eye appointments. And that's been extra, because they'll just take them and that gives me a break. And I really like that. Yeah, because it's a lot. Because you want to talk more. and it gets very tiring. So sometimes when my parents come over, it's like, oh, I can relax.
It's good that you can get your 30,000 words in with your parents.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't want to burden Dave, or it gets too much for him.
Mm-hmm.
Not him personally, but Parkinson's can definitely be hard on him.
Sometimes it's got a mind of its own.
Yeah, it's crazy. Because one moment you can't even walk, and then 10 minutes later you're able to walk.
Yeah,
So,
it is really strange.
So you definitely need, when you tell the kids you need a village to raise kids, you also need a village to caregive.
Yeah.
You totally do.
If you do everything on your own, it's very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, sweetheart.
No problem, I enjoy it.
It's been a very good broadcast, and this is...
Dave's thrilled, if you can tell.
Yeah, I don't think I've had this many symptoms on the camera before. This is really, for me, this has been really, really exciting. And thank you, Janine, for asking the question.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And if anybody else has questions about how we deal with stuff, please send them in. We'll do our best to answer them.
Yeah, all we can do is try our best every day. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, let's take this journey together, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.